Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be diving into all the buzz around solid-state batteries
Yeah,
and why 2025 is looking like such a pivotal year for them, especially for their use in EVs.
right.
We've got two really interesting sources for this deep dive.
Okay.
The first is an article called Calpurnia, and then another titled Superbattery per Auto Electrisch. Pure Performance, ma anche barriere da superare.
I'm intrigued.
It's a mouthful,
Yeah.
but it's got some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
So today, we really want to give you a clear snapshot of where this tech stands right now.
Okay.
Separating the hype from the reality and highlighting what you should really be watching for in the coming months and years.
Sounds good. Solid state batteries. This is something I've been really into lately. They have the potential to completely change how we power EVs.
Calpurnia actually goes as far as calling them the future of EVs.
Okay.
So I'm curious, what makes these batteries so special? Why all the hype?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is their higher energy density. You're basically squeezing more power into the same size battery pack. This means you could travel much farther on a single charge, which is a huge plus for EV drivers.
Yet range anxiety is a real thing. No one wants to be stranded with a dead battery.
Uh-huh.
But Superbattery suggests these batteries could also charge incredibly fast, potentially refueling your car in the same time it takes to fill a gas tank.
Exactly. That's definitely the goal. And then, of course, there's the safety aspect. Lithium-ion batteries, they have that flammable liquid electrolyte, which always poses some risk of fire. Solid-state batteries use a solid electrolyte, so no flammability issue.
So they could revolutionize EV performance and make them much safer. Sounds pretty good so far. Calpurnia lays out a timeline of which automakers are jumping on the solid-state bandwagon.
It's getting pretty crowded. MG is actually aiming to release their first solid-state EV as early as 2025. They even hinted at a reveal sometime in Q2. Stellantis is planning tests with solid-state EVs, including a fleet of electric Dodge Charger Daytonas by 2026. Honda is already building a pilot production line for these batteries. That's set to be up and running in January 2025, with a full vehicle launch planned for the end of the decade.
It's shaping up to be a real race to market. Calpurnia also mentions Toyota and Hyundai. Toyota's looking at a 2027 or 2028 launch, and they seem to be really focused on perfecting their mass production methods. Hyundai is kicking off production of high-density lithium iron phosphate batteries, those LFPs mentioned in the article. They'll be using these in their popular models like the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and Kia EV6 starting in 2025.
With all these big names making moves, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement. But it's important to keep in mind, for you listening out there, that while these limited releases might be just around the corner, widespread adoption is still a few years away.
Right, so we shouldn't expect to see solid-state batteries in every EV on the lot quite yet. Superbattery points to manufacturing challenges as a big reason for that.
Yeah, scaling up production is a major hurdle. Building these batteries on a massive scale, consistently and affordably, that's proving to be pretty tough.
Superbattery. It's just some of the specifics, right?
Yeah, they mentioned that it's not just about building bigger factories, it's about finding the right solid electrolytes that can conduct ions effectively, because that conductivity is key for performance. And solid-state batteries, they're fundamentally different from their liquid-based counterparts. So you need completely new manufacturing processes, a whole new approach. That's a huge undertaking, a lot of investment and innovation needed.
Yeah, it sounds like it's way more than just swapping out a few components. It's like redesigning the whole battery from the ground up.
Right.
Another issue Superbattery raises is that of material.
Of course, sourcing all those critical materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel for EV batteries is already a huge challenge. The availability of these materials is finite. And the mining process can be very environmentally damaging.
And Superbattery even suggests solid-state batteries could make this problem worse by increasing the demand for lithium.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And that's why researchers are already exploring some alternatives like sodium-ion batteries, which rely on sodium instead of lithium.
That's good to hear. But it sounds like the dream of affordable solid-state EVs taking over the roads might still be a ways off.
Do Superbattery emphasizes that mass adoption is more likely a 2030s reality, not something that's going to happen overnight.
Okay.
And even the early models might come with some trade-offs, like potentially shorter lifespans than some of the current lithium-ion batteries.
So patience is key. But Calpurnia brings in an interesting human element to all of this. The author talks about how some people are hesitant to embrace EVs, maybe because of tradition or familiarity with gasoline cars.
It's a common reaction to new technology, especially when it challenges what people are used to.
Right. And the author makes this compelling argument that Even those who might be considered more traditional, people who maybe lived through tougher times like the post-war period, they would welcome this kind of technology.
Yeah.
Imagine, cars that are more reliable,
Mm.
require less maintenance, and are potentially cheaper to run in the long term.
Right.
Makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Where do you, the listener, stand on this?
Yeah.
Are you ready to embrace the EV revolution, even if it's a gradual transition?
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of solid-state batteries.
We've laid out the why solid-state batteries are creating such a buzz, and hinted at their potential to revolutionize electric vehicles and beyond.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit and get under the hood to explore the how.
Sounds good.
What's the science behind all this magic?
Understanding the science behind these batteries helps us really grasp what makes them tick,
Right.
why they're so tricky to produce, and what cutting-edge innovations are driving the field forward.
Okay, so before we get lost in the technical weeds,
Okay.
can you give us a quick refresher on what sets solid-state batteries apart from the lithium-ion batteries we see in most EVs today?
Sure. The core difference really lies in the electrolyte. In a standard lithium-ion battery, the electrolyte is a liquid,
Right.
which, as we've discussed, can be flammable and limit the battery's overall performance and lifespan. Solid-state batteries, as the name suggests, use a solid electrolyte. This seemingly simple swap unlocks a whole array of advantages.
And Superbattery really dives into those advantages, particularly the safety aspect.
Absolutely. Safety is a major selling point. The article points out that those flammable liquid electrolytes in traditional lithium-ion batteries always carry a risk of fire.
Hmm.
Damage to the battery, whether from an accident or overheating during charging, creates a potential fire hazard. A solid electrolyte eliminates that risk because it's simply not flammable.
That added peace of mind is huge, especially for families with young children. But beyond safety, what other improvements does a solid electrolyte offer?
Well, it opens doors to new possibilities in design and performance. Remember how we discussed energy density? Solid electrolytes allow for the use of different materials both in the cathode and anode, which can pack more energy into the same amount of space.
So that's the key to those extended driving ranges we keep hearing about.
Precisely. And the article goes on to highlight how solid electrolytes can even enable faster charging. Because ions can move more efficiently through a solid medium, you can pump energy into the battery much more quickly.
So far, we've got increased safety, longer range, and faster charging. What's the catch? Superbattery makes it clear that there are some significant challenges on the road to widespread adoption.
You're right. Scaling up the production of solid-state batteries presents some major technical hurdles. One of the biggest is finding the right solid electrolyte materials. These materials need to be highly conductive to allow those ions to flow freely,
Okay.
which is crucial for performance.
So it's not as easy as just picking any solid material and calling it a day.
It's a complex challenge, and there's no single solution that fits all applications. Researchers are experimenting with a variety of materials, including polymers, ceramics, and even hybrid approaches. Each material has its own set of pros and cons,
Right.
making the search for the optimal solution a careful balancing act.
It sounds like a lot of research and development is still needed.
It is. And then there's the manufacturing process itself. Superbattery explains that producing solid-state batteries is an entirely different ballgame compared to making traditional lithium-ion batteries. We're talking about building completely new production lines, using specialized equipment, and developing a whole new skill set within the workforce.
That sounds like a massive investment.
It is. The initial costs are substantial, which is one of the reasons why mass production is taking time. Companies need to be confident that the demand is there before committing billions of dollars to build new factories.
So it's not just about overcoming those technical obstacles. It's also about ensuring it makes financial sense.
Exactly. But even with these hurdles, the progress is undeniable. There's a global race to develop and bring solid-state batteries to the market. And we're seeing breakthroughs happen all the time.
Calpurnia gives us a glimpse into this race, highlighting some of the key players and their different strategies for tackling these challenges.
It does. We see companies like Toyota focusing on perfecting mass production techniques, while others like QuantumScape are taking a more radical approach with something called anode-free batteries.
Anode-free batteries.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing. Can you break down what that means?
It's a pretty revolutionary idea. QuantumScape, a startup backed by Volkswagen, is developing a solid-state battery that does away with the traditional anode. Instead, as the battery charges lithium ions plate onto a metal foil, essentially creating the anode on the fly.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is. But if it works, it could lead to batteries that are smaller, lighter, and boast a longer lifespan.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy.
Exactly. It highlights the diverse approaches being explored in the solid-state battery field. There's no clear winner yet, and different companies are placing their bets on different paths.
This race to innovation certainly makes the field more exciting to follow. But let's circle back to the materials challenge. We've touched on the difficulties of sourcing those critical materials like lithium. Could solid-state batteries actually worsen that problem?
There's a real concern that solid-state batteries might require even more lithium than current batteries, further straining an already tight supply chain.
That brings us back to the importance of exploring alternative materials.
Right. Researchers are looking at a range of options, including sodium-ion batteries. These batteries use sodium instead of lithium. Sodium is much more abundant and readily available, which could make these batteries more sustainable and cost-effective in the long run.
That's a promising alternative. So while the path to a solid-state future isn't without its bumps, there are reasons to be optimistic about the potential solutions on the horizon.
Absolutely. And as we move forward, it's crucial to remember that this is a rapidly evolving field. What seems impossible today might be commonplace tomorrow.
Okay, so we've delved into the why and the how of solid-state batteries. But before we move on, let's bring it back to you, the listener. What does all this mean for you? When can you realistically expect to see these batteries in your driveway, and what kind of impact will they have on your life?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, there's no crystal ball that can give us a definitive answer. Superbattery suggests that mass adoption of affordable solid-state EVs is likely a 2030s reality,
Okay.
not something we'll see at every dealership next year.
Right.
However, we're already seeing the first steps toward this transition with companies like MG and Honda planning limited releases in the coming years.
So it sounds like a gradual rollout, starting with niche models and eventually making their way to the mainstream market.
That's the most likely scenario. And as production ramps up and costs come down, we can expect to see solid-state batteries becoming more and more common in electric vehicles of all shapes and sizes.
This shift could have a profound impact on the way we drive, power our homes, and even travel the world.
Imagine a world where you can drive your electric car hundreds of miles on a single charge
Right.
and refuel it in minutes, not hours. Picture homes powered by solid-state batteries that store energy from solar panels, reducing our dependence on the power grid.
Wow.
And envision electric planes silently whisking us across continents, leaving a much smaller carbon footprint in their wake.
It's an exciting vision, and while it might take some time to fully realize, the progress we're seeing is remarkable.
Absolutely. The future of transportation and energy storage is being written as we speak,
Yeah.
and solid-state batteries are undoubtedly playing a leading role.
And we're back for the final part of our solid-state battery deep dive.
We've gone through the why and the how. Now it's time to tackle the so what. How will this tech actually change the world?
Big question. And Superbattery jumps right into it. Starting with the auto industry, we're already seeing this big move toward electric vehicles.
Right.
And it feels like solid-state batteries could be what really pushes things over the edge.
Absolutely. They have the potential to completely change what an electric car can be.
Right.
Imagine EVs that can go as far as or even farther than gas cars, charging times as fast as filling up at a gas station,
Yeah.
and safety. That's better than anything we have now.
That's the EV dream.
Yeah.
But what happens if it actually comes true?
Well, we could see the demand for gas-powered cars just plummet.
Yeah.
The whole auto industry would have to adapt or get left behind.
It's a complete shakeup.
Yeah.
And it's not just the car companies themselves.
That
Brian.
goes way beyond that.
Well-
The entire ecosystem around cars, parts suppliers, dealerships,
Right.
everyone would need to adjust.
It's a chain reaction that could transform entire economies.
Yeah.
And then there's the environmental impact. We're pushing for EVs, in large part, to get away from fossil fuels and fight climate change.
Right.
Could solid-state batteries be a key part of that?
Definitely. By making EVs more efficient and giving them longer range, solid-state technology could really speed up that shift away from gas-powered vehicles. That would mean a big drop in greenhouse gas emissions.
But Superbattery makes a good point about this. It's not quite as simple as that. Even solid-state batteries rely on finite resources, and mining those materials has its own environmental costs.
That's true. The sustainability of any tech depends on the whole picture, not just what it's used for, but the entire supply chain. We
Right.
need to make sure the materials for these batteries are sourced responsibly and that we're investing in recycling to recover those materials at the end of their life.
So it's not just about replacing one kind of battery with another. It's about a bigger, more sustainable approach.
Exactly. And on that note, we can't ignore the geopolitical side of this.
Right.
Control over those critical materials like lithium, cobalt, nickel is becoming a big deal.
Yeah, it's like a whole new kind of resource race.
Yeah, countries that have these resources or the ability to process them, they'll
Yeah.
have a major advantage.
Calpurnia actually brings up an interesting point about this.
Okay.
The author argues that even if some people aren't ready to embrace EVs,
Mm-hmm.
this shift is happening anyway.
It's inevitable, yeah. The momentum's building. It's driven by environmental concerns, the tech advancements, government incentives, consumers are demanding this.
Yeah.
The question isn't if it'll happen, but how we manage it and what kind of future we want to build.
And that brings up some really important things to think about.
Yes.
As we rely more and more on batteries, we need to be aware of the social and ethical implications.
Definitely. We need to make sure the benefits of this technology are shared fairly,
Yeah.
that workers are treated ethically, and that we're addressing any negative impacts on communities affected by resource extraction.
It's a web of interconnected issues, really.
Yeah.
Just like with any new tech, there will be opportunities and challenges.
Right.
And it's our responsibility to navigate all of that thoughtfully, focusing on sustainability, equity, the well-being of everyone, and the planet.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive into the world of solid-state batteries.
Yeah, I think so too. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of how these batteries work to their potential impact on industries,
Mm-hmm.
the environment, even geopolitics.
Absolutely.
One thing's for sure, this tech has the power to change our world in some really big ways.
Mm.
And as exciting as that is,
Yeah.
it's also a bit uncertain.
Right.
But that's why it's so important to stay informed, to have these conversations,
Right.
and make conscious choices
Mm-hmm.
about the kind of future we want to build.
Exactly. The future's not just something that happens to us. We shape it with our actions, choices, and our collective will.
So as we move into this new era, let's keep those brain cells buzzing, stay curious, and never stop asking those big questions. And if you enjoy this deep dive into the world of solid-state batteries, we encourage you to like this episode and subscribe to our channel for more explorations of the technologies shaping our future. Until next time, keep exploring.